First contact gone wrong. The Galactic Confederation vessel Eternal Grace hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, its crystalline hull refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. Admiral Zextal stood on the bridge, all six of his eyes fixed on the peculiar ship that had wandered into Confederation space. The vessel was ugly by their standards, a patchwork of metal plates, exposed conduits, and what appeared to be makeshift repairs. Preliminary analysis complete. Admiral, announced First Observer Kelson, her tendrils wavering with confusion. The vessel appears to be primitive. Chemical propulsion, minimal shielding, and no quantum communications array. However, she paused, mandibles clicking in puzzlement. There are numerous energy signatures we cannot identify. The human vessel, designated Northern Star according to its hull markings, continued its steady course through the sector. Its presence here was unprecedented. Humanity wasn't supposed to have achieved interstellar travel yet. According to Confederation records, they were still limited to their solar system. Open communications, ordered Zextal. Let's see what we're dealing with. The response came not through the expected quantum channels, but through simple radio waves. A human female appeared on their view screen, her expression calm despite the unprecedented first contact situation. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the independent cargo vessel Northern Star. We acknowledge your hail, Confederation ship. How may we assist you? Zextal's central eyes widened. You know of the Confederation. We make it our business to know who our neighbors are, Admiral. Chen replied with a slight smile. Though this is indeed our first official contact. The admission sent ripples of unease through the bridge crew. Humans had been watching them, studying them. Zextal's diplomatic training kicked in. Your presence here is unexpected, Captain. Our records indicate human ships lack the capability for interstellar travel. Your records are outdated, Admiral. We achieved reliable interstellar travel 3 Earth years ago. We've been observing Confederation traffic through this sector while we refined our technologies. Before Zextal could respond, alarms blared across his bridge. Admiral. First Observer Kelson called out. 3 ships just emerged from Fold space. Pirates. Drachnid raiders. The notorious Drachnid pirates were a plague on this sector, their advanced technology and ruthless tactics making them feared throughout Confederation space. Their ships, organic technological hybrids, emerged like predatory fish from the void, weapons already charging. Captain Chen, Zextal announced urgently, take evasive action. We will handle these raiders. But the Northern Star didn't move. Instead, Captain Chen's expression turned thoughtful. Actually, Admiral, we'd be happy to assist. We have some experience with pirates. Zextal wanted to protest. The primitive human vessel wouldn't stand a chance against Drachnid raiders. But before he could speak, the Northern Star's energy signature began to change in ways that defied his crew's analysis. The lead Drachnid ship launched its first attack, a quantum-phased plasma burst designed to disable ship systems. It struck the Northern Star directly, and seemed to have no effect. Impossible, breathed Kelson. Their hull. It's absorbing the energy somehow. Captain Chen's voice came through again, still remarkably calm. Interesting weapons system they have. Mind if we demonstrate one of ours? What happened next would be discussed in Confederation military academies for decades to come. The Northern Star's primitive hull began to shift, panels realigning to reveal what appeared to be crude projectile weapons. But when they fired, they released clouds of what appeared to be simple metal particles. Metallic chaff? Zextal questioned, confused by such an archaic approach. But the chaff cloud expanded, and as the Drachnid ships fired again, their energy weapons dispersed harmlessly through the particle field. The Northern Star then launched what appeared to be mining pods, simple devices used for asteroid extraction. The pods suddenly split apart, releasing thousands of small mirrored objects. Targeting array is going crazy, reported Kelson. The reflective surfaces are creating countless false signatures. The Drachnid ships, their sophisticated targeting systems confused by the low-tech countermeasures, began firing randomly into the chaos. The Northern Star moved with surprising agility for its bulky frame, using the confusion to maneuver into position. "Admiral." Chen's voice carried a note of satisfaction. "You might want to shield your eyes." The human ship's next attack was brutally simple yet devastating. Dozens of high-intensity flood lamps, the kind used for illuminating asteroid mining operations, activated simultaneously. The focused light, reflected and amplified by the field of mirrors, created a blinding cascade that overloaded the Drachnid ship's sensitive optical sensors. As the pirates struggled to recover, the Northern Star launched its final attack. Simple kinetic projectiles, accelerated to tremendous speeds by electromagnetic rails. The projectiles tore through the Drachnid ship's energy shields, their primitive nature bypassing the advanced defenses entirely. Within minutes, the dreaded pirates were in full retreat, their ships damaged not by advanced energy weapons or quantum torpedoes, but by what amounted to cleverly used mining equipment. Silence fell over the Eternal Grace's bridge. Admiral Zextal stared at the human vessel with new understanding. They had deliberately maintained the appearance of primitive technology, while developing their own unique solutions to space combat. "Captain Chen," he said finally, "I believe the Confederation would benefit from a full diplomatic exchange with Earth. There is clearly much we could learn from each other." Chen smiled. "We'd be delighted, Admiral. Though I should warn you, what you've seen today is just a small sample of human ingenuity. We have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. And space has given us a lot of necessities to work with." As the Northern Star and Eternal Grace set course for the nearest Confederation station, Zextal began composing his report to High Command. One line stood out. Previous assessments of human technological capabilities were fundamentally flawed. They are not primitive. They are innovative in ways we never considered. Recommend immediate revision of first contact protocols. Warning: do not underestimate human ships, no matter how primitive they may appear. The incident would later be known as the Chen Doctrine, a fundamental shift in how the Confederation approached emerging spacefaring races. Sometimes, they learned, the most dangerous technology isn't the most advanced, it's the most creative. The Battle of Proxima Run. News of the Northern Star incident spread quickly through Confederation space, though few believed the initial reports. Captain Chen's unorthodox tactics became the subject of heated debate among military strategists, but no one expected the true demonstration of human capabilities that would unfold at Proxima Run. The Proxima Run, a treacherous shipping lane skirting the edge of an unstable nebula, had long been considered too dangerous for regular commerce. Yet human ships began traversing it regularly, using the route's natural hazards as cover from pirates and hostile forces. Commander Ixel of the Confederation Defense Force found himself assigned to escort duty along this notorious route, watching 3 human cargo vessels, the Thunderchild, Magellan's Pride, and Desert Wind, make their way through the swirling clouds of ionized gas. "Their shield configurations make no sense," muttered his science officer, Vestra, her crystalline form shifting with confusion. "They're using gravitational deflectors to channel the nebula's energy rather than blocking it." "Humans rarely do anything that makes sense to us," Ixel responded, remembering his briefing on the Chen Doctrine. "That's what makes them." The attack came without warning. 7 warships of the Serathi Dominion, a militant species that had been expanding aggressively into Confederation territory, emerged from the nebula's depths. Their organic crystal hulls blended perfectly with the surrounding gases, making them nearly invisible until they struck. "Defensive positions," Ixel ordered, but he knew his single escort cruiser stood little chance against 7 Serathi warships. "Human vessels, retreat behind our position." "We'll—" "Thank you for the offer, Commander," interrupted a calm voice. Captain Marcus Wong of the Thunderchild. "But we've dealt with Serathi tactics before. Please hold your position and observe." You might find this educational. Before Ixel could protest, the three human ships executed what appeared to be a catastrophic navigational error. They moved deeper into the nebula, directly toward the most unstable region. The Sarathi commanders, sensing easy prey, pursued. Their superior shielding technology made them virtually immune to the nebula's volatile energies, or so they thought. They're not running, Vestra realized, analyzing the humans' movement patterns. That's a combat formation. Indeed, the three cargo ships had arranged themselves in a triangle, their seemingly crude hulls now crackling with the nebula's energy. The Thunderchild opened its cargo bays, releasing what appeared to be simple mining drones, hundreds of them. "Those aren't mining drones," Ixel whispered, understanding dawning. "They're probes." The drones spread through the nebula, each one trailing filaments of conductive material. Within moments, they had created a vast three-dimensional web of energy-channeling pathways. The Sarathi ships, focused on their prey, flew right into it. "Now," commanded Wang, "let's show them why you don't corner humans in a volatile environment." The three cargo ships activated their gravitational deflectors simultaneously, but instead of protecting themselves, they directed the nebula's energy through the drone-created web. The result was spectacular. Controlled lightning storms erupted throughout the combat zone, overwhelming the Sarathi shields with raw natural power. But the humans weren't done. As the Sarathi ships struggled with the electrical assault, the desert wind released its cargo, thousands of magnetic resonance pods, normally used for ore detection. In the nebula's charged environment, they created a cascade of conflicting magnetic fields that played havoc with the crystalline structure of the Sarathi hulls. "Impossible," breathed Vestra. "They're using the nebula itself as a weapon." The Magellan's Pride delivered the final stroke. It launched what appeared to be simple coolant, the kind used in mining operations, into carefully calculated points in the nebula. The rapid temperature change created shockwaves that the human ships, with their reinforced hulls, could withstand. The already stressed Sarathi vessels couldn't. Within minutes, the mighty Sarathi war fleet was in ruins, their advanced technology defeated by humans using mining equipment and natural phenomena in ways no one had ever considered. "Commander Ixel," Wang's voice carried a note of professional satisfaction, "would you be kind enough to notify Confederation rescue services? The Sarathi crews will need evacuation. Their ship's crystal matrices are destabilizing." As Ixel sent the distress call, he couldn't help but ask, "How did you know this would work?" "Simple observation," Wang replied. "The Sarathi rely too heavily on their advanced technology. They never consider that someone might use basic physics against them. We humans learned long ago that the most reliable weapons are often the forces of nature themselves." The Battle of Proxima Run became a watershed moment in Confederation military doctrine. It demonstrated that humans didn't just use primitive technology. They understood fundamental principles of physics and nature in ways that more advanced civilizations had forgotten in their rush to develop new technology. As Ixel later wrote in his report, the humans don't see technology as their primary advantage. They see it as just one tool among many. Their true strength lies in their ability to understand and exploit the basic forces of the universe in ways we never imagined. Perhaps in our rush to advance, we have forgotten some essential truths that humans still remember. The Confederation's tactical databases were updated with a new warning. Human vessels are to be considered Class A strategic assets, regardless of their apparent technological level. Their ability to weaponize natural phenomena makes them extremely dangerous in any environment. Approach with extreme caution. The Siege of Station Aurora. Station Aurora wasn't much to look at by Confederation standards. The human-built space station resembled a massive industrial complex more than the elegant crystalline structures that dotted Confederation space. Its modules were connected by reinforced tunnels, with solar arrays and communication dishes sprouting at seemingly random angles. To the casual observer, it looked like it had been assembled from spare parts. Because it had been. High Counselor Venera of the Confederation found herself stationed there as part of a new diplomatic initiative. After the incidents with the Northern Star and Proxima Run, the Confederation had decided to establish permanent diplomatic presence on human stations. What she hadn't expected was to find herself in the middle of a siege. The Krivith Collective, a species of cybernetically enhanced beings, had decided that human space was ripe for conquest. Their initial analysis had concluded that Station Aurora, with its patchwork construction and minimal defensive systems, would make an easy first target. They were wrong. They're deploying quantum disruptors, reported Lieutenant Sarah Hayes from her station in Aurora's control center. Standard Kriveth tactics. They'll try to shut down our computer systems first. Venera felt a flutter of panic. Quantum disruptors could disable even the most advanced Confederation systems. Against human technology, they would be devastating. Or so she thought. Station Commander Elena Rodriguez smiled. Good thing we don't rely solely on computers then. Lieutenant, initiate Protocol Lighthouse. Throughout the station, mechanical switches clicked into place. Digital displays went dark, replaced by analog gauges. Crew members pulled out paper manuals and began coordinating through a network of speaking tubes, technology that hadn't been used on Earth for centuries. The Kriveth attack hit like a wave of digital silence, but where they expected chaos, they found prepared efficiency. Station Aurora continued to function, its crew switching seamlessly to backup systems that operated on principles the Kriveth couldn't comprehend. How? Venera asked, watching crew members coordinate complex station operations using nothing more sophisticated than mechanical calculators and slide rules. We learned early in space exploration that any sufficiently advanced technology can fail, Rodriguez explained. So we made sure we could operate without it. Every critical system on this station has a mechanical backup. Sure, it's slower, less efficient, but it works. The Kriveth, frustrated by their failed first strike, moved to Phase 2, a direct assault on the station's hull. Their boarding pods, bristling with cutting tools designed to breach even Confederation defenses, attached themselves to Aurora's exterior. They're trying to cut through, reported Hayes. Their plasma cutters are... Wait. She laughed. They're having trouble with the hull. Rodriguez nodded. Station Aurora's outer hull isn't a single layer of advanced material. It's multiple layers of different metals and composites, with vacuum gaps and rotating plates. Try to cut through one layer, and the next one's already moved. We borrowed the idea from Earth's old bank vaults. But the Kriveth were persistent. Some boarding pods managed to breach the outer defenses, only to find themselves trapped in Aurora's maze-like service corridors. The station's layout, which had seemed random and inefficient, revealed itself as a carefully planned defensive network. Release the maintenance bots, Rodriguez ordered. Hundreds of small, simple robots, designed for routine repair work, swarmed into the corridors. They weren't sophisticated enough for the Kriveth to hack, but they were more than capable of sealing doors, rerouting power, and creating obstacles for the invaders. In the vacuum of space, the Kriveth fleet prepared for their final attack. Their ships charged their main weapons, massive energy cannons that could tear apart conventional stations. They're going to hit us with everything they have, Hayes announced. Energy readings are off the charts. Rodriguez pressed a button on her old-fashioned control panel. Then it's time to show them our own surprise. Initiate Operation Mirrorball. The station's outer arrays, which had appeared to be simple solar panels and communication dishes, began to move. They realigned themselves, creating a complex network of reflective surfaces. The original design was for collecting solar energy more efficiently, Rodriguez explained to a stunned Venera. But with some modifications, it works just as well for redirecting enemy fire. When the Kriveth fired, their energy beams struck the array network. Instead of destroying the station, the beams were caught in a deadly dance of reflection and refraction, turning the Kriveth's own power against them. The siege of Station Aurora lasted 3 days. When it was over, the Kriveth fleet retreated, their ships damaged not by advanced weapons, but by their own reflected energy and the simple, persistent defense of a station they had dismissed as primitive. As Venera prepared her report to the Confederation Council, she found herself reevaluating everything she thought she knew about technological advancement. The humans hadn't just survived the siege. They had done so using technology that most species had discarded as obsolete. The true lesson of Station Aurora, she wrote, is not that humans can fight effectively. It's that they understand something we have forgotten. That technology doesn't need to be advanced to be effective. It just needs to work when you need it to. In the aftermath, Station Aurora became a mandatory study for Confederation military academies. Its design principles, once dismissed as primitive, were recognized as a masterpiece of defensive engineering. The station stood as a testament to human ingenuity, and a warning to any who might mistake simplicity for weakness. The salvage operation. When the distress signal reached Confederation space, even veteran rescue crews were hesitant to respond. The coordinates led to the scarred expanse, a region of space devastated by an ancient war, filled with treacherous debris fields and unstable energy storms. Yet there it was, a human distress beacon, broadcasting from the heart of the chaos. The Confederation rescue vessel Swift Mercy arrived to find the human ship Vulcan's Hammer apparently dead in space, its hull scarred by multiple impacts. Captain Lyra Tell of the Swift Mercy had studied the reports about human vessels, but this looked beyond salvation. Life signs, she asked her sensor officer. Difficult to tell through all the interference, he responded. But yes, they're alive in there. Though how, I can't imagine. The Vulcan's Hammer had been part of a salvage operation, attempting to recover valuable technology from the ancient battlefield. Their mission had gone wrong when they stumbled upon something still active after all these millennia, an automated defense system that had never received the order to stand down. As the Swift Mercy approached, they received a transmission. The voice was calm, almost cheerful. This is Captain James Chen of the Vulcan's Hammer. Thanks for responding to our call. Don't worry, we're not in immediate danger. We've just run into a bit of a creative opportunity. Lyra blinked all three of her eyes. Creative opportunity. Captain, your ship appears severely damaged. Oh, it is. Chen agreed. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Would you mind standing by for about 6 hours? We're in the middle of something interesting. Before Lyra could respond, her tactical officer called out in alarm. The ancient defense system had detected them. Deadly energy weapons powered up, targeting both ships. Captain Chen, we need to evacuate your crew immediately. Lyra ordered. Those weapons are exactly what we've been waiting for. Chen interrupted. Watch and learn, friends. What followed was a display of engineering that would be studied in technical academies for generations. The Vulcan's Hammer, supposedly crippled, began to move. Its damaged hull plates shifted, revealing a complex network of makeshift energy collectors, cobbled together from salvaged technology and modified mining equipment. The ancient weapons fired, their energy beams slicing through space. But instead of destroying the human vessel, the beams were caught, channeled, and redirected through the jury-rigged collectors. Fascinating design, isn't it? Chen commented as if discussing the weather. We found these old power matrices in the debris field. Totally dead, but the channeling crystals were still intact. Took us a while to figure out how to integrate them with our systems. The Vulcan's Hammer moved through the battlefield like a dancer, each hit from the defense system adding to its power rather than depleting it. The collected energy was stored in modified cargo containers, themselves salvaged from the ancient wreckage. The real breakthrough, Chen continued, was realizing we could use the electromagnetic fields from the debris to create a containment system. The ancients had some interesting ideas about energy storage. As Lyra and her crew watched in amazement, the human ship completed its intricate maneuvers. The defense system, its energy repeatedly absorbed and redirected, finally fell silent. And that, Chen announced with satisfaction, is how you turn a disaster into an opportunity. We now have enough power collected to run a small colony for a year, plus working examples of ancient technology that we can study. Not bad for a day's work. The Swift Mercy's engineer, who had been analyzing the human ship's modifications, finally spoke up. This shouldn't be possible. You've combined technologies from at least 3 different civilizations, spanning thousands of years of development. That's the thing about technology, Chen replied. It all works on the same basic principles. The ancients just had different ways of approaching them. Sometimes the best solutions come from combining old ideas in new ways. The Vulcan's hammer's accident had been partially planned. They had detected the defense system early on, but realized its potential as an energy source. Rather than avoid it, they had allowed their ship to take controlled damage, using the opportunity to test their hybrid collection system. As the 2 ships prepared to leave the scared expanse, Lyra found herself reviewing everything she thought she knew about technological advancement. The humans hadn't just salvaged ancient technology. They had understood it, adapted it, and improved upon it in ways its original creators might never have imagined. The true danger of human ships, she wrote in her report, isn't their technology level or their combat capabilities. It's their fundamental understanding of how things work, combined with their willingness to experiment. They don't see technology as sacred or fixed. To them, it's all just tools to be used, modified, and combined in whatever way solves the problem at hand. The salvage operation, as it came to be known, led to a complete reassessment of restricted space zones throughout Confederation territory. Areas previously considered too dangerous for recovery operations were opened, under human supervision. The Vulcan's hammer's success proved that sometimes the most valuable discoveries come not from advancing technology, but from understanding and repurposing what already exists. Would you like me to continue with the final part? The new protocol. The Grand Chamber of the Confederation Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from over 300 species gathered to discuss what many were calling the human question. The recent events, the Northern Star Incident, the Battle of Proxima Run, the Siege of Station Aurora, and the salvage operation had forced the galaxy's oldest civilizations to confront an uncomfortable truth. Technological advancement didn't always follow the path they had assumed it must. High Chancellor Vex stood before the assembly, his crystalline form shifting colors with the gravity of the moment. On the central platform beside him stood Admiral Sarah Chen, now Earth's official representative to the Confederation. Her simple blue uniform stood in stark contrast to the ornate attire of the alien diplomats. The motion before us, Vex announced, is to establish new protocols for classification and interaction with emerging spacefaring species. Recent events have made it clear that our traditional metrics are inadequate. The chamber erupted in discussion. A Serathi representative rose, their crystalline form pulsing with agitation. The humans barely have quantum computing. Their ships still use chemical propulsion in some cases. By all standard measures. By all standard measures, Chen interrupted calmly. We shouldn't be here at all. Yet here we stand. Perhaps it's time to reevaluate those standards. The evidence was displayed on the chamber's holographic screens. Human ships surviving situations that should have destroyed them, solving problems in ways that defied conventional wisdom, and consistently turning apparent technological disadvantages into unexpected strengths. What the Confederation failed to consider, Chen continued, is that there's more than one path to the stars. You sought to overcome the challenges of space through advancing technology. We chose to understand those challenges and work with them instead. She gestured to a display showing the interior of a human ship. You see primitive backup systems. We see reliability. You see inefficient redundancy. We see survival insurance. You see outdated technology. We see tools that never fail. The Kriveth representative, their cybernetic enhancements gleaming, spoke next. But surely you must acknowledge that advanced technology provides advantages that can become vulnerabilities, Chen finished. When your quantum systems failed at Station Aurora, your troops were helpless. When our computers went down, we switched to mechanical controls. Different approaches, different strengths. Chancellor Vex raised his appendages for silence. The humans have demonstrated that our understanding of technological progression was limited. Their ships may not be the most advanced, but they are among the most reliable and adaptable we have encountered. The new protocols, when finally approved, represented a fundamental shift in Confederation policy. Spacefaring civilizations would no longer be judged solely by their technological advancement, but by their ability to survive and thrive in space. The classification system was expanded to include factors like technological redundancy, adaptive capability, and creative problem-solving. But the most significant change was the addition of what became known as the Chen principle. The effectiveness of a technology is not determined by its complexity, but by its practical application and reliability in real-world conditions. As the assembly concluded, Chen met privately with Chancellor Vex in his chamber. The ancient alien leader studied her with curiosity. "There's something I've been wanting to ask," he said. "Your ships, your stations, did you deliberately maintain seemingly primitive systems to hide your true capabilities?" Chen smiled. "Not exactly. We kept them because they work. Humanity learned long ago that the most advanced solution isn't always the best solution. Space is dangerous and unforgiving. When your life depends on something working, you want options. Old ones, new ones, simple ones, complex ones. Because out there, survival doesn't care about technological advancement. It cares about what works." The message spread quickly through Confederation space. Human ships were to be treated with respect, regardless of their apparent technological level. Their approach to space travel might seem primitive or unconventional, but it had proven itself time and again. As one Confederation instructor later told his students, "The humans taught us that we had become so focused on advancing technology that we had forgotten some fundamental truths about survival in space." Their greatest innovation wasn't any particular technology. It was their understanding that innovation itself doesn't always mean making things more complex. Sometimes it means finding new ways to use what already works. The new protocols marked the beginning of a significant change in galactic civilization. Species that had previously been dismissed as primitive were reevaluated. The human approach to space travel, combining old and new, simple and complex, always with an emphasis on reliability and adaptability, became a model studied throughout the galaxy. And in space, ships began to change. Confederation vessels started incorporating mechanical backups alongside their quantum systems. Engineering crews studied human repair techniques. The elegant crystalline ships of advanced races began carrying what they previously would have considered primitive tools and systems. Because in the end, the humans had proven one universal truth. In the unforgiving vacuum of space, the most important technology isn't the most advanced. It's the one you can count on when everything else fails.